one of the books I would recommend for this, by the way, it's a secular text that's very spiritual in nature. And when I say spiritual in nature, I think she actually technically is a Christian. She's called Brené Brown. I'm sure you've heard of
Oh,
her.
yeah.
And it's called Rising Strong. Men and women can listen to this audiobook, and it should be a game changer for people in terms of how vulnerably they present in their relationship with their spouse.
The biggest challenge, would you say, that couples are facing behind closed doors, what would you say it is?
I think it's probably the inability to communicate effectively. And that's like across the board, not just about intimacy, because that does, I think people, they struggle to be vulnerable. And one of the books I would recommend for this, by the way, it's a secular text that's very spiritual in nature. And when I say spiritual in nature, I think she actually technically is a Christian. She's called Brené Brown. I'm sure you've heard of her.
Yeah.
And it's called Rising Strong. Men and women can listen to this audiobook, and it should be a game changer for people in terms of how vulnerably they present in their relationship with their spouse, how we make that safe, how both partners are probably making up a story about what they think the other person's thinking half the time. I'm jumping to an assumption, which causes lots of arguments and resentment and regret and all that kind of stuff. And she talks very honestly about her own journey with that with her own husband. I don't need to, preach to the converted, so to speak, about that, because it's called Daring Greatly. I'll say it again, and it's by Brené Brown, and it's like 8 hours of audio book, and I recommend it, and I'm not getting any kind of commission for that, because it spiritually, for me, my husband's not listened to the whole book, I don't think, but he found it, because men don't like therapy either, like traditionally. So it's like men don't really, they don't need that. It's like, you definitely don't. Like, it's hard enough to get women into therapy when they need it, getting men into therapy is even harder. But giving them personal development projects, if you like, of anything, because I'm like, any kind of spirituality is personal development, right? It's like, once, I don't need to explain that to you. That book is so practical. It's a way of constantly analyzing, why am I triggered right now, actually?
What's going on with me?
Yeah,
what's
going
coming
on
up
with
for
me?
me?
And
what's
that,
the story I'm telling myself? I love
that
that question.
Exactly is like the whole essence of Islam, right? It's like, it's one big personal development journey. You happen to be married to somebody else who's also on a personal development journey, but you need to be very vigilant on yourself. And if you know that you might not have said something in the best way, or you could have said it better, or you may even owe an apology, don't hold back apologizing. Just apologize in whichever way you apologize. Verbally is usually great, but some people do it in other ways, of course, acknowledging the mistake. But in intimacy, it's like, there really is a debilitating element of that. Like, they feel like they're directly hurting. How do you communicate your needs? How do you communicate how truly satisfied you are or you aren't? Now, you think the nonverbal stuff usually confirms that, and it does. It does a lot of the time, but a lot of women are coming out of, an intimate interaction, if you like, not feeling fulfilled and still feeling like they've got no voice with it. Again, I recommend Habib Akande's books for that. And one's called Women of Desire. The other one is called A Taste of Honey. That's definitely a 2-person book. And the other one is called Kunyaza, I think it is. It's up there. I'm getting no commission for that either, but the reason I mention it is because these books are literally transformative, and I don't need to tell you how rooted this is in Islamic tradition, because he's done all that research for you to look at. Check the references yourself if you're that kind of you're a Muslim, you feel like you need that dalil and all that kind of stuff. It really is incredible stuff that he's put together there for us all to benefit from. I'm truly grateful for it, because I've even had women who so I've had one lady, and she's given me permission to anonymize her and talk a little bit about her experience. So she got married as a virgin. This is something we've not touched on properly yet, I don't think, or maybe not gone into very deeply. Well, we did a little bit, and she came from a different cultural background to the chap she got married to. The chap had been married before, and on the wedding night, even though he knew she was a virgin, he did absolutely no foreplay with her whatsoever, nothing. And obviously there's a lot of anxiety around losing your virginity anyway. That's why a lot of non-Muslims end up losing it drunk or high, or there's a lot of, and you can see why they end up doing that. Not that they should, but
Yeah.
it's naturally, it's against your fitra, right? They shouldn't be doing
Mm.
it in the first place. So they do
Mm.
something to numb that kind of alarm bell that's going off inside the soul, saying you shouldn't be doing this.
Mhm.
And really sadly so, they weren't able to consummate the marriage, and they were married for a few years, and she developed a condition called vaginismus,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard of before. So she literally psychologically is unable to, so subconsciously, her
She's
muscles are
clamped.
contracting in the
She's
wall of
clamped
her.
down. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's clamping down, and there's just no way, even with an erect penis, that they're able to consummate that marriage. He ends up screaming at her a few times, telling her she's weird, and they ended up not married, obviously.
Sorry, how long was that situation?
So
How long were they together?
they were married for about 2 or 3 years.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, subhanallah.